What's going on, guys? Today is the NFL show. We're covering every game this week, giving out what we think will happen in our picks from a gambling perspective. We're also talking about what happened with Joe Judge and the Giants and what's going on with Antonio Brown right now. It's a good one. Let's go. And welcome to Trophy Kids, presented by Bad News Media. It is Friday, November 20th. I literally just said this 2 seconds ago in the pre-meeting. But it is Friday. Michael has returned for the NFL show. It is the NFL show. How are we doing today, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm cold. It's cold outside. It's getting cold. I like this time of year in a way, but it's chilly walking the dog.
I love this type of year for the activities that present themselves during this time of year. But the whole, it's dark at 4:30, and I feel like I need to eat dinner at 5:30 just because of, looking out the window, holy shit, it's pitch black out there, and it's cold. Not my favorite. I don't love waking up in the morning to take a piss in my toilet seat or toilet floor, if he has to take a number two, are freezing. But activities, football, bonfires, good food, I guess. I don't really know. I lost kind of track, but it's a nice time of year for an activity standpoint. You like a nice apple orchard, if you're one of those people, nice apple orchard available for you. Nice fall activities.
That, and it's great. It's not that we really care, but you can eat whatever you want. Summer's far away.
This is true. You do not have to work on the summer bod just yet. You can get an extra pound or two.
Cut it off.
Yeah, we're wearing big sweaters and heavy jackets. Nobody sees it. All right, let's get into the NFL. We've got some house cleaning though. There were some news clippings that came out. You were the one that sent me both texts, actually, alerting me to very funny stories, on face value. I guess we'll start with AB because it's probably the least expected. But AB is in some hot water again with the NFL. Go figure. Would you like to explain the situation to those viewers who might not be familiar with the inner workings of AB currently?
You could correct me. As far as I know, there was just a bit of a dispute, if you will, with I believe he lives in a gated community, perhaps. I don't know if it's a gate, but there was a dispute between him and I'd say maybe a gate attendant. And in response to this dispute, AB decided to throw a bicycle.
Hurl the bicycle at a security camera.
Yeah. There you go. I would love to see the video. I don't have it yet. I'm working on it.
Oh, I am sure that'll be hitting the market soon. Apparently, Bruce Arians was aware of this. The NFL wasn't. I mean, the guy. I feel like this was a real lack of foresight on Bruce's part to be like, we know about this. Maybe we should make sure the NFL knows about it, given he's sort of on a probation type of period right here. Not the best from Bruce. That drinking paint in his early days has given his foresight a little bit of an issue here. Also, Bruce, we've never talked about this, but the look he's rocking on Sundays, not a fan. The whole bomb strapped to his chest I don't like the look just off face value. But yeah, he's in a bit of, I don't know if he's going to be suspended by the league. I can't say I'm terribly surprised, but I'll stick to my opinion that it's been the same since we signed him. Is it morally great? I don't know. Probably not. He's not a great dude. I think that's pretty obvious, especially with some of the allegations lend against him. But this is an insurance policy. We don't need him. We're fine without him, so it's a win-win. We can cut him if things go bad. We can keep him if things go good, and he's a top 5 wide receiver again. But yeah, the dude just does not get out of his own way, ever.
Never. It sounds funny, but it's also not. I mean, he did something borderline violent. But in my opinion, if you sign the guy, everything that he's done, is this alone going to make you throw him off the team? Probably not.
No.
With all the other allegations that he has against him, I mean, I don't think this is going to be the one, but it doesn't help.
Well, I saw today, Bruce, I think, said he's been a model citizen since being on the team, which is not a description I would generally use for AP. But then again, how much trouble can the guy get into? He's living with Tom Brady. I mean, they've essentially locked him in a safe place, except for when he has to play football. They let him out.
Bruce made sure he said since he's been on the team. So hey,
Very, very clear in the description.
3 weeks of a model citizen.
Yes. The second news, and my all-time favorite story of the week, the Giants. The way this was first, I saw Giants have parted ways with their O-line coach. Shortly after that, I received a text from you with a description as to why. And the reason for that is Joe Judge got into a fist fight with the O-line coach. I love this all day. I think this is hilarious. I mean, it's not hilarious because it kind of is funny. The fact that coaches are fist fighting on the sideline during practice is a funny image. Grown men who are generally a little overweight. I haven't seen a picture of the O-line judge or coach, but I'm assuming he's probably not the most fit of dudes getting into a brawl at practice. Is he? Is he?
Well, it's Mark Colombo, so he used to play.
That's right. Yeah.
He's about 6'8", 300 pounds. Joe Judge is out of his mind.
I forgot Mark was. Bad look on my part. I did forget Mark Colombo was the O-line coach.
It's not a big deal, but that is very important here.
It's a very important description.
That guy's a nut job. I mean, we already knew he was a little crazy. He's making his players run laps. He's like running laps. He's like doing push-ups. Like we knew he was a bit of a nut job. He clearly is. Oh. But I mean, to fight Mark Colombo. Also, Mark Colombo. I'm not going to call him a dirty player. I'm not going to ruin his name, but he had a few fines in his career.
Yes.
Not someone you want to fuck with.
No.
He's only 42. He's not old.
He's a bad mamma jambo. Joe Judge is absolutely insane, and I wasn't sure how the Joe Judge experience would go, but this is so fitting for this Giants team because the Giants team, and we'll talk about their game, they are the best, worst team I have ever seen simply because they refuse at any point in a game to lay down. They're not going to win most games, and they know that, but they refuse to stop playing. Like you never see them, like Texans. You watch those games, you know they're trying to get to the end of the season. Like they know they're not making the playoffs. There's not as much fight in them. You watch the Giants, they're trying to take people's heads off most of the game, which that's Joe Judge. Somehow it's working right now.
Yeah, that is Joe Judge. Joe Judge strikes me as one of those coaches. This is kind of like a cycle, and it's like a cycle in a lot of professional coaches. You get a player's coach, and then the player's coach runs thin, and you get kind of a hard-ass coach. Sometimes the hard-ass coach can kick you in the ass for 2 years, and you'll get good results. The Giants just don't really have the talent for that, but they do compete. By the time the Giants might be good, I think Joe Judge's everyone will be tired of him, and they'll probably just have to ship him out. That's kind of my opinion.
That's the dangerous gambit you run. It's great when you have like guys that are sort of fresh out of college, younger, not a great roster, dudes who are just trying to hang around in the NFL, which the Giants sort of have. If you look at the roster, I mean, Barkley's injured, so I'm not counting him in there. Daniel Jones is still fresh out of college. That appeals to them more. But you are right. Once you start to get to like the we're good phase and we're grown men who go home to our families, I'm not running laps for like nonsense. I'm not in high school football anymore. Like this isn't the same. It does go south quickly. You see situations like Greg Schiano in Tampa, which they weren't, I guess, good at that point. But you could tell like everybody's a grown ass man. We need to be treated like this is a job. But it's still funny that this is just happening in the middle of the season and in the middle of Corona season, which is just like perfect for the 2020 storyline.
Yeah, I mean, you really can't make that story up. And then the Giants came out and like denied it. No. I mean, of course they're not going to say, yeah, they got in a fist fight. But it's just like, come on, we all know that's what happened.
I wanted him to come out like Bobby Petrino down in Arkansas with like a neck brace and just black and blue all over his face. So bad.
That would be the best.
Or just a big-ass pair of shades, like one of those like party ones, so you can't see his face, like a press conference like that. That would have put just cherry on the top. All right, let's get into the games. I was looking at this week's roster. I don't like this slate of games. There isn't, outside of this Thursday night game, which we're recording on Thursday, I'm not really excited for any like, there's no real, like, I look at this and I'm not like, I love any of these I like them from a gambling perspective, but from a watching perspective, it just is a bad slate for me, I think.
Agreed. Yeah, I do agree. It's not the most appealing group of games. I like your game.
Yes.
But it's not looking great.
No. And each game we'll kind of go over here. We'll start with the Thursday. It's going to go on here shortly after we record this. We're recording right before this. Predictions. I think the over hits. I can't not go with the over. But
I'm all over the over as well.
Do we think Seattle gets back on track? Because I don't. I don't initially. I think Arizona's peaking at the perfect time for what they are.
Completely agree with you. I like Arizona, honestly, on the money line. I didn't take them on the money line tonight, but I don't hate them on the money line. It's just Seattle, they are crumbling, and their defense. I know we'd like to rail on Dallas' defense. Seattle's worse. Seattle's defense is so bad, and Kyler and Christian Kirk and DeAndre Hopkins, they're just humming right now. I can't see Seattle stopping them enough. And Russell, I mean, he's an unbelievable player, but he's turning the ball over at an alarming rate right now. And it's a Thursday night game. I think Seattle, after this game where they have 10 days off, maybe they'll get back on track, but I do not like them tonight.
The defense is such a liability, which is you're not used to, in my head, like I still think Seattle, like I immediately go to like, oh, Legion of Boom. Like it's so unnatural for them not to have a good defense right now. But it's horrendous. And there's no fixing it this year. Like there's just nothing you can do. Like no matter how you change the scheme, at this point I'd just be sending blitzes like all day long and hope I just win out on that. Or you get like you run into like a QB sort of like Justin Herbert who just panics at the sight of a blitz and just throws it away, which in his defense he's still very young. So I would also be like I watched that Miami game. There's a clip going around the internet by I think Robert Mays' account is tweeting it, where the Miami, like nobody's lined up, they're just hopping back and forth, and they just bring an all-out blitz, and Justin just heaves it in like 2 seconds. He sees it and is like, "Fuck no." But that's not happening with Kyle Murray. That's not happening with this division. Like you're in the wrong division not to be able to play defense in for Seattle, and I think Russell's playing himself. Russell's still phenomenal, and by no means should we say that he's not, but he is turning over the ball more because you can only go so long where you're like the only reason your team's successful in the NFL. Right. It only can last so many weeks before then it starts to infect you like a plague.
He has to do so much, and I mean it'll affect you eventually for sure.
Oh yeah. Next game I got here, Atlanta, New Orleans. The return of Jameis. The line right now is at 4. Saints are favored. Over-under is 52. There's a part of my brain that 100% thinks that Jameis is going to come in and just fucking ball out. And I'm going to be – the message boards on Tampa are going to be so annoying if that ever happens. But there's a part of me that thinks, oh, he's got Sean Payton. He's just going to ball out now.
It wouldn't shock me. I mean, in a sense, he balled out a lot for Tampa Bay. Just threw it to the other team a lot.
Could not see the field.
One really
legitimately.
He went from one really good offensive mind to another really good offensive mind while also backing up one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. I mean, I would not be shocked if Jameis went in there and played really well. I didn't really like him in his relief duty, but I give people passes generally on relief duty. And he played fine, but it's just like he missed a lot of passes. I can't – I know he's a backup, but I can't ignore – I'm getting -4. I don't know what you're getting. I can't not take New Orleans -4.
Yeah, that's the part that I was struggling with because the Falcons are for sure a different team without Dan Quinn. Like, immediately, like, light bulb switch, they're a better team, but they're not a great team. And Saints are not borderline great, but, like, they're in that upper category at this point, I think I would put them in. Like, they're not Chiefs good, but they're like that next tier, I would say, probably underneath.
Playoff team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And the defense is starting to click. On Atlanta's side, it's sort of the same story where, like, the defense is starting to get better. The offense is getting yardage, but they get to the red zone, they crumble. Or they get to game-late situations, it's not as crisp. The 4 is hard to turn down. I don't know if I'm going to bet it, but if I was, I'd probably lean Saints overall. New England, Houston is the next one I have on my list.
Oh.
This is a bad game. This is a bad game.
Yes.
I mean, Houston's a dumpster fire. I talked about it last week. There's rumors JJ apparently wants out or is going to be out of Texas after this season. Deshaun is still playing good, given he has nothing around him. And the Patriots are bad. Like, these are just bad football teams. I hate this game.
I hate it too. I don't hate the total though. I think it's an under.
Yeah, I agree. Total.
I'm getting 49, which seems high.
I was just gonna say total's at 49. I should have given the line. Line's at 2. New England's favorite. I like 49, and if I had to go line, I'd probably go Patriots just because I rely on Bill Belichick more than Romeo Cornell.
100%.
In this game, but I agree the total is good because these offenses. I mean, Houston can kind of move the ball, but the Patriots, man, I know they played in a monsoon last week, but even before that, Cam had gone 2 games without scoring a touchdown at one point. That's insane.
Yeah, I mean, there's very few teams where I will say have worse weapons than the Washington football team. New England's one of them.
True, very true.
They have no one.
They're a bad bit football team, or they're a badly built offensive football team right now.
Yes,
and that is a theme with that throughout the league, and one team we'll get to here in a little bit. As far as, and you were saying this earlier in the text about a badly built football team, but we're not there yet. Eagles Browns in Cleveland. Line is at 3. Over unders at 47.5. Are the Eagles still a football team? Like, do they? Are they still a football team?
That's what I was looking at too, and I was just like, 3?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I realize we're talking about Cleveland here, but Cleveland, first of all, the past 2 games that Baker's played in have been the most ridiculous weather games I've ever seen in my life. He has played in like back-to-back hurricane force wind games. I don't know what's going on there. So don't let Baker's past 2 games of throwing for like less than 300 yards combined fool you. And not that I'm saying Baker's some stud, but I mean, come on, I have to take Cleveland there. I have to.
100%. I think it's still going to rain. I don't think the wind's going to be as big of a factor on Sunday, but I do believe Cleveland's expecting rain in this. And I'm sorry, does anybody think the Eagles' offensive line is even going to have a shot blocking Myles Garrett? Like, there, like, he's going to be fucking Freddy Krueger. Wentz is going to close his eyes. He's going to be in there fucking shit up. Like,
yeah. I know Philly's slowly getting more healthy, and not really on their line. They're getting Miles Sanders getting healthy, Alshon Jeffrey, but I don't care.
No, I don't either. Like, Cleveland's just going to run the ball. They'll do a little play action with Baker, which he thrives in, and then the defense is going to put, I would assume, lights out against the Eagles because there's no fight left. They're a dead dog.
It's hard. The NFC East will only beat the NFC East at this point. Like, you almost have to always take, if the NFC East is playing someone else, it's a pretty safe bet to just take the other team.
100% agree. Except for in this next game, Bengals Washington.
Oh.
I don't know here.
We're going to disagree here.
The line is 1.5. I'm not 100% sure, but I think there's a chance Washington wins this game. Over under is 47, and I think the chance legitimately only lines up on a matchup, and that's D line for the football team. Sorry, I'm using the wrong verbiage here.
50 years, it's 80 years.
I know. D line for them versus the O line for the Bengals is one of the biggest mismatches of the week. And then Antonio Gibson, who I have not watched hand up. I have not watched that much Washington football versus the Bengals run defense. Those are 2 very bad matchups that favor the football team heavily.
Yeah, I definitely agree with the D-line part. I do. But for whatever reason, football team's D-line does not like to show up until the second half. We go down 20-3 in the first half. Like, I mean, it's crazy. And then we fight back and we generally lose a heartbreaker. Joe Burrow, I think you would agree, is good.
Very good, yeah.
He's really good. And I just think Joe Burrow alone, I think, putting Tyler Boyd, Pat Higgins, Joe Mixon's coming back. I'm obviously a negative Washington football team fan who's been through countless years of pain. I'm going Bengals here. I am. I like your Gibson point. Gibson is, when you watch him, I'm assuming you'll probably watch this game.
Yeah.
So when you watch, I'm sorry you have to watch this game, but when you watch Gibson, you're going to see like a lot of potential, but you're just going to see like, dang, like if his vision, and it's going to take time, he's a converted wide receiver to running back. You're going to see like his vision is just not quite there yet. But you're going to see a shit ton of broken tackles. He's a big man. He's fun to watch, but we'll see if he's able to torch him. He's really had one game where he's really torched the team, but you'll see like a lot of potential in this kid for sure.
The glimmer of hopes. Yeah. And I agree with you on your Burrow point too. And Burrow's learning, and he's learned very quickly that right now with the Bengals, he has to get the ball out quick. And the only time that doesn't happen is when the idiots in the Bengals OC and head coach decide to dial up routes that take 20 yards to develop, and he's like, for crying out loud, give me a back to block or a tight end. Like, what are we doing here? That's about the only time. Other than that, he is getting, I'll give Joe Burrow credit, he's learning fast and on the fly. It's getting to the point, I was talking to my roommate about this, who's a Bengals fan. I know you can't do it because it's a competitor and it could backfire, but like, I would seriously consider the Bengals being like, maybe we start to shut him down for the year, because that Steelers game, it was looking like he might not make it off the field. He is getting beat up. And he is your franchise. You don't want a Carson Palmer situation happening where a knee blows because you're literally can't do anything to block. I also don't understand why Zach Taylor doesn't leave a running back always in the backfield on at least a delayed route. Like every single play, it would either have a tight end or a running back on some form of delayed route looking to pick up a blitz or shift in a blocking coverage, because there is, like, Joe Burrow's not getting any help from that offensive line right now. But he is very good, and I'm excited. The one thing I'm excited to see is Gibson, because all I keep reading in my pre-research, which I didn't do a ton this week, all my picks are primarily gut picks, it's exactly what you said. The potential there is off the charts. And for those who don't normally, my Bengals fans out there who are not familiar with the football team, Scary Terry at wide receiver. He is a player that flies way under the national radar.
He's such a stud, man. He's going to get if everything goes well, he'll get 1,400 yards. I mean, he's had 5 quarterbacks throwing the ball. None have been good. I mean, he's a stud.
It's starting to get into that. I'm not putting him in the Hopkins category yet, but he's in that category of, like, has terrible quarterbacks, and you could only imagine what the numbers would be had he had something better.
Right.
Not the same talent there, I wouldn't say yet, but
no.
Same situation as far as his numbers would be way off the chart if he had a half-decent quarterback throwing to him.
Yeah.
Not dink and dump Alex Smith, as we're going to see that this week.
Are.
Lions-Panthers. This game, I don't think my book had a line on it when I last checked.
Let me see if I'm getting it.
But if they do, I'm all over the Panthers.
The Panthers, man, that's a team I can't figure out.
I can't either, but I have zero.
I think they're good.
Yeah, and the Lions to close out this game.
Oh no, dude. We played the Lions last week. No. They're not good. We're no good, but they're no good too. And the Panthers play hard. They win games you wouldn't expect them to win. Panthers.
I can't figure out the Panthers if they're going to be good long term, because I can't figure out how much of it is Joe Brady and the OC giving them a legit shot versus Matt Rule just being a great head coach. I don't know long term the success of the Panthers, because Joe Brady's not going to be there long.
Oh yeah, no, he won't be there long. My take is, I mean, they have a talented offense. Obviously, McCaffrey, complete stud. He's had the injury issues. Robbie Anderson, I think, is playing a little above what he is right now. But I think he's a good player. I think Robbie Anderson's a good player. DJ Moore's a good player. Curtis Samuel. The wide receiver core is very good to go with McCaffrey. And Teddy Bridgewater, I mean, he's a middle-of-the-pack quarterback. He's fine. I mean, he's not a stud, but I do like their offense a lot. I really do.
Two Gloves Teddy is as middle of the road, I think, as you can get. Like, he's not.
He kind of got Alex Smith in him.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be a Pro Bowler elite.
Nah.
Like, this is somebody you want to devote all your resources to. But he's also not a guy where you're like, we got to draft a quarterback because we can't win. He's like the perfect, if you put a team around him, you can win a lot of football games.
Oh, yeah.
Quarterback. Which is really what you're looking for, is consistency in the NFL. If you have consistency, you're going to have a shot almost always, because there's so much inconsistency in the league.
Yeah.
Week to week. And he's very consistent, middle of the road. I like Panthers. I don't know what the number will be. I'm sure they'll release it. I'm sure there's something COVID-wise holding this up, or like a Matthew Stafford injury that we don't know about yet. He's probably got like a torn.
Hurt thumb.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There we
does.
go. I knew.
Yeah.
I was going to say, he's probably got like a broken kneecap, 2 ribs, a fractured spine, and is ready to go.
Yeah, it's probably, yeah, exactly.
Just shoot me up, coach, and throw me out there. Steelers, Jags. This line's at 10. I hate lines that get that big. Over under 46.5. Like the Steelers are good, but the Steelers, there's something is mentally blocking me from acknowledging them as being some superior team, because defensively they're phenomenal and offensively they show up every week, but there's something in my brain that will not allow me to accept the fact that this team is just going to light up teams week to week.
Me too. And I mean, I think they're very due for a loss. I don't think they're like some sort of team that's just going to mow over the schedule. I'm kind of with you. I agree. I don't like the line. It's a big line.
Big line.
But I know the Steelers defense is really good and Jacksonville has their issues, but Jacksonville has put up some points this year. They really have. So I don't hate the over. I'm getting 46. I think you said 40, 46 and a half. Either way, I would take the over personally. There's just been the Jags had multiple games, high 20s into the 30s. They put up 27 against the Colts, even though it was week 1, and that's during Minshew mania, where Minshew actually kind of played it out of his mind.
Yeah.
But I might just for fun do the over. I'm definitely staying away from the spread.
Yeah, I hate that number because they're not the Chiefs or like the Bucks, for example, where it's like if the offense is playing their A game, they'll easily cover, like blow a team out. Like they have to bring their A game, just not to struggle in games, I feel like, or play a team close. And dude, the Jags fooled me so hard. By like week 3, I was all in on like, oh, they're not tanking. They're going to have no shot at the number 1 pick. They're not going to be good, but they're going to be super competitive and are basically like middle finger to the organization. Like, we don't want a high draft pick. And then that has completely disappeared. That Colts game did a number in my brain where I always think Jacksonville now is way more competitive than they are. But the defense is bad. Jake Luton, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah, I don't remember. I'm terrible with names, but I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He's played decent for a rookie. Like I haven't been like, wow, that's the future. Like they're still going to draft a quarterback depending on where they fit. But he's played good. So
played well against Green Bay.
Yeah. So I hate the spread. I do like that over, I think, a little bit more because the Jags defense is trash.
Yes, it is.
So even a good Steelers offense, but one that I just mentally can't say. Also, the wide receiving scouting department at the Steelers, they all deserve pay grades. They all also deserve GM jobs in this league. I don't know how they keep finding these guys.
I'm so jealous.
It's insane.
It's absurd. I mean, we're Washington is desperately looking for a second wide receiver. I mean, we had 3 years of Garcon and Deshaun Jackson. It was the greatest 3 years of my life, and we weren't even good. I love good wide receivers. It's so fun having a team with good wide receivers.
Oh, it's the best.
You know.
I know very well right now. It's fucking awesome.
It's awesome.
Oh, it's a real jolt to the system on Sunday morning, waking up knowing you got some ballers out in the wide receiver position.
Yeah, like when going into games myself, when I see like another team that has really good wide receivers, I'm just terrified. I'm like, oh my god, like how are we gonna cover all those guys?
So true.
Yeah,
just an
very
absolute
scary.
nightmare to deal with.
It
I would have to be so pissed, like going up against like a Bucks team or the Chiefs team as the DB room, like the whole week, just being like, fuck, we got like you're watching film all week on these guys. You're like, what the fuck?
I mean, your third best corner is covering Antonio Brown. I mean, what? What a joke.
It's so absurd.
It's seriously a joke.
Oh, all right. Let's talk about a team that has no wide receivers in the Ravens. Ravens,
There we go.
Ravens Titans -5.5. Over unders 49.5. Have you ever seen a good team built so poorly?
No, never.
That's the
Never in my
Ravens.
life. The Ravens are built so poorly. It honestly annoys me that they're good because, like we mentioned, that I think had worse weapons than the Washington football team. Take Lamar out because Lamar obviously is a better weapon than anyone we have. Mark Andrews is a good player, but the Ravens also have worse weapons than the Washington football team. They have no one. I mean, Marquise Brown fast. That's all he is. He's really fast. But I mean, come on.
Yeah.
This game, the way I'm looking at this game is okay. Obviously there was that playoff game where the Titans just mauled them. The Titans' defense now is way worse, but the Ravens' offense now is way worse. This is a game. I'm not saying for the world to do it, and I'm not saying this is going to happen. But you give me plus 200 odds on Tennessee in this game, and I cannot. I have to take that.
I agree. Value pick. It's a value pick here.
Yeah,
Money.
100%.
Yeah. There's no reason to risk it on the Ravens spread. So if you want to bet it, go with the value in the Titans, because it is. I do think it's one of those games. It's one of those games that it'll either be like the Ravens get really right all of a sudden, which I don't think is going to happen, or it's super close and then coin flip it one way or the other, because the Titans' offense is very good at times, and the defense is soft as the Pillsbury Doughboy, but then you flip it on the other side with the Ravens, and it's like good defense, terrible offense. And it's to the point where, and this happened with the 49ers, where defenses just know what you're going to run. Like Greg Romanov's offense, they just know pre-snap. Like, they're calling it out. I think Lamar said that last week. They're like, they know what we're running before we run it. Yeah. And that's a problem. I don't know what you do with the Ravens, because you don't blow it up, but like, and I don't think you can get rid of Greg, but like, something's got to change. And Harbaugh's a guy that will do something to change it up, because he's a good head coach, but I look at that team and it's like, what? I don't know how you have to reconstruct the entire offense again.
I know, and it's what's really crazy is like, if you like, I don't know if you've noticed, but Dak Prescott still has more passing yards than Lamar Jackson. That's pretty crazy. I know Dak was like throwing for an unbelievable amount of yards, but he's out for like 4 weeks now.
Dude, Lamar, and it sucks too. Like, Lamar is obviously not paying his MVP caliber self. Like, that's obvious in the passing game. But then it's also like, well, look at who he's throwing to. He's throwing to a bunch of like 5'8" guys, except for Mark Andrews, and like, there's no coherent scheme passing wise.
Right.
So,
and
like,
I mean, his running game, like Mark Ingram, is really starting to just kind of lose it, and they can't figure out, is it Gus Edwards, is it J.K. Dobbins? They just can't seem to figure out.
Nope, it's a bad situation. But I'm with you, Titans. I just take the money line and call it a day. See what happens. Dolphins Broncos, lines at 3.5. Miami, over unders 45. Finally, I feel like out of all the coaching trees in the league, Bill Belichick's is one of the worst, I would think, like overall. But Brian Flores, you found a coach, Miami. I say it every week, and I'm still impressed every week with that roster. Outside of Parker, there is nobody on that roster that you'd be like, or not nobody, but you don't look at the roster and go, that's a good roster, and yet they're 6-3 and playing good football.
Yeah, I don't even get the spread. Dolphins.
Yeah. Here's something for you. Is Drew Lock, and I thought of this last week when I was watching that Broncos game, is he just a cooler version of Jameis, who just can't see the field and just like he doesn't put up as many yards, but like he makes such stupid interceptions that I'm just like, I feel like I'm watching, when he throws the ball, the decision making passing wise, I'm like, I'm watching Jameis Winston 3-point. Like, why are you throwing that ball? What are you doing?
I do get the comparison. As an outsider who was never like frustrated with Jameis like you were, I think that's kind of, Jameis is way better. But
yes, I would say I'm talking just purely from the stance of like going through the progressions and making some of the decision making, throwing the ball. Not talented like Jameis has all the talent in the world. His just decision making is horrendous.
Very poor.
We're over here liking like Drew Lock because he was singing along to Jeezy last year. Like, everybody's high on him because of that.
We loved him because of that. But yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. But going back to that game, I've been like disrespecting Miami. I had been for like the first 7 to 8 weeks on wagers. No more.
No.
They're a good team.
Very good team. No. Tua is not doing himself any favors, though, because this week he came out and was like, I thought this would be a lot harder than it is. And it's like, ooh, bud.
Yeah.
Like, you've just played some not great football teams. Like, there are some killers out there in this league that are going to make it very tough.
Yeah, be careful.
Yeah, how many rookies have we seen that have had great rookie seasons and then just immediately defenses get a little film on them and it's game over?
Yep, quite a few.
And I want Tua to succeed. I like Tua. I'm not somebody who thought he would, so I hope I'm wrong because I like everybody who can succeed in the league. But it is one of those things where I think I discounted them because when they pulled Ryan, I felt like that sucked because Ryan made them super competitive. And I was like,
for sure.
Damn, that sucks to pull him. Felt for him. Makes sense, though. You have your future franchise quarterback there. And then they've just continued to go. Like, Brian Flores put boy genius McVay in a headlock and just gave him a noogie all day. And then the rest of the games have been good. Like, they're good. They're a competitive, good football team. Just a team. They're a team. That's what they are. They're a team. You don't point to one player and go, that's making a difference. It's a team effort. So, yeah, Miami all day long.
Yep.
Jets, Chargers. Line's at 9.5. Over under 46.5. I look at the Jets and I go, they are so bad. But then I look at the Chargers and go, they can't close. So I don't know what to do here.
You said it. The Chargers, they're one of those teams that kind of look for ways to lose. It's a really big number. The way I think the Chargers will win, but I could see them scrambling for a win.
Like
to where they don't win by 10 points. Like,
yeah,
I don't see them winning this game by 10 as bad as the Jets are. I probably won't bet on it because it's an awful game. But if you put a gun in my head, I'd have to take the Jets plus 9.5. I mean,
yeah, I'm not betting it sure for that exact reason. But once again, gun to the head, I'm with you on that because like the Jets are bad, and I am, as everybody knows, listening to this, I think Adam Gase is one of the dumbest human beings in the NFL. I wouldn't trust him with, like, if I had a son, my son's Pee-wee team. He is so dumb. But the Chargers, they're afraid to win a game. Like, they're just afraid to win a game. That's what it is.
It's accurate.
Justin Herbert, fantastic. The league is in. That was one theme that just keeps popping up in my head. I'm just like, the amount of elite, not elite, I'm not going to say elite yet. The amount of good quarterback play we're seeing out of young guys feels higher than in the last couple decades. Like, we get classes that come through the league where you're like, shit, that's like a really good class. But it just seems like since the Jameis Marcus Mariota draft, which still crazy, they went 1 and 2. It feels like there's just been like at least one good guy almost every draft. I'm sure somebody can look at it and tell me I'm wrong. But now it just feels like the league is littered with really good young quarterbacks, and Justin Herbert's in that category. He's playing really well, much better than I thought he would.
He's playing very well. I mean, the first 3 quarterbacks that have been drafted this year, I like them all. They're all really good.
Yes, very much so. Probably one of the better games of the week here. Packers Colts lines at 1.5, over unders 51.5. I'd probably say this, maybe the Chiefs Raiders, depending on how that plays. I have some thoughts there, and then the Bucks Rams. Those are probably the 3 best games of the week.
Yeah,
Colts Packs. I have begrudgingly not respected the Colts as much because I'm still waiting for Phillip Rivers' arm to fall off mid game.
Same.
But they are a good football team.
They're a good team. They have a good defense. Yeah, I'm still waiting for Phillip Rivers to just do something stupid. And I mean, a couple bad passes, but I mean, he's been winning them games. But this is also another game for me where it's just a value play. I have to take the Packers money line.
Yep, 100%. If it was reversed, I think I'd take the Colts money line. Like, whoever's the underdog here, I'm taking because it's like you have one team that's pretty consistent everywhere but has a bit of a question mark at quarterback with Phillip Rivers. What are you going to get? And then you have the Packers, who are very good offensively with Aaron Rodgers, and a defense that's suspect. But they're so close, and the matchups are so good. I'd rather lose money on Aaron Rodgers as a money line dog than lose money on the Colts as a favorite at 1.5. Like, that just doesn't feel like a good betting trend at all. But we'll see. Frank Wright also, I love the balls on him just to go for it, like on fourth down and everything. Like, if you bet the Colts, it's one of the best experiences because you're just like at any point, even if you're not covering because he's just so ballsy, you're going to be in range at some point in the game to cover.
Yeah, he's awesome. I like him a lot.
Cowboys Vikings lines at 7, over under 48.
I don't love it. I don't love it at all.
No, this is a tough spot to be in. I don't know what to do here, to be honest.
This is a game for me where I give my money to Dalvin Cook and say, "Go win me this bet. Win me this." I think it could be a massive Dalvin Cook day.
Yes.
And
Justin
I think that's the way
Jefferson's
that they win. Yes, for sure. I agree with that. It's just one of those situations where if it's an NFC East game and it's a touchdown, and Minnesota they're rolling right now. I think they've won 3 or 4 straight. Might be 4.
Yeah.
But it's a game where I just think I got to give the ball to Dalvin Cook and hope that he wins me this game. So I would personally take Vikings -7 on that.
I
Are you
agree.
getting 7?
Yeah, I'm getting 7. I agree. I think Zimmer's also starting to, as all great coaches do, when you have a not so great team, it starts out rough, but if you're a really good coach, you can figure out schemes and ways to put your team into positions to be more competitive, and I think he's done that defensively. I'm not saying they're like the classic Mike Zimmer defense, and you can't put a ton of stock in what you saw against the Bears because the Bears are the Bears, but just looking at them, they're looking a little bit more competent defensively, and the schemes seem to be a lot better. And because Dalvin Cook's there, you don't have to rely on Kirk Cousins to really do a whole lot. He can do stuff like you saw in the Bears game. When because of Dalvin Cook and the threat, the passing game opens up. He doesn't have to make anything crazy, but he can hit a 10-yard slant or he can be a little bit more of a game manager, and then that's when you have a very good football team in the Vikings. And they have ripped off 3 wins straight in a row: Green Bay, Detroit, Chicago. Green Bay is a good win. Detroit, not so much, but it's still good. They beat them by 14. And then Chicago was a good grind-them-out win. They're in a tough spot, Chicago, but they're not playing this week, so we won't even bother. But, yeah, I'm with you. I put money on Dalvin Cook and say, go, man. Go win me something.
Exactly.
Chiefs, Raiders, 8 is the line, over under 57. Dude, is there any shot the Chiefs don't just blow the barn doors off? I mean, the Raiders are a very good football team, another team that I discount all the time. But, I feel like that last one sits real ugly with them.
That's what I was going to say, is the Raiders do play them very well. However, the last time that they played, it was kind of an ugly ending. Yeah, so I put my money on Mahomes. I hate the number 8. I hate 8. 7 would be so much better. But I think I got to ride with Mahomes on it.
I'm with you. Yeah, I think I have to ride Mahomes, but the Raiders are a very, I look at them and I go, all right, Josh Jacobs is good. Carr can be good at times, and he can be bad. Waller, their tight end's their best, probably offensive player. Maybe Josh Jacobs. I don't know. One of the two.
Yeah, one of the two.
But outside of that, they just play good football. Their offensive line is ginormous and very physical, which helps. Yeah. But then you have the Chiefs, who are just they're not a team that you usually get twice. They're not a team that you get a gotcha. The number, though, for the line perspective, I would love it a lot more if it was 7, because then I'd feel like at least I'm probably pushing.
Right.
But at 8, I'm going to have to take it because I'm going to be so mad if I bet Raiders and Patrick Mahomes just literally pulls down his pants and takes a dump on this 50-yard line.
Exactly. and they're coming off a bye.
Yes, that's even the worst part for the Raiders on that part.
Yeah.
Andy Reid off a bye, Patrick Mahomes, time to just watch Raiders film is terrifying to me as a better. Last game of the week, most exciting game in my book. I'm biased, though, Bucs fan. Bucs, Rams. Set at 4, over-under 48.5. I love this game because, one, I'm now at the opinion that if every football team plays their A game, the Bucs and the Chiefs are the 2 best teams in the league, in my opinion right now. If everybody plays their A game, they're the 2 best teams. The problem is, can they play their A game? And this is an awesome test for that, because while the Rams aren't knock your socks off good, they're a good football team that challenges you in a lot of different matchups. And it's a great game to see, okay, who can the Bucs bring it consistently against a good football team?
Yeah, totally agree. Unbiased here, this is the best game of the week, in my opinion, for sure. And it's a really good test for the Bucs. It's just going to kind of show us who each team is, which is going to be nice, because the Rams could easily win, because we've seen Tampa kind of show up and not play very well a few times, and we've seen Tom get very angry on the sideline.
Yeah, they're not used to that down in Tampa, a quarterback losing his mind like that.
Yeah, they're not at all. I think it's hilarious. But I would put my money on Tom here. Primetime Tommy. I know Tommy hasn't actually. Last time Primetime Tommy played, he blinked and was down or whatever.
Not
I don't foresee that. Yeah, I don't foresee Jared Goff really leading this team to smoke Tom Brady. So I'm personally taking the Bucs here. I can't figure out the total because that Tampa defense is nasty.
Very good. Yeah, that's why I think, like, and I said it a couple weeks ago, I think the Bucks, if they're playing their A game, is the best matchup against the Chiefs, who I think are the best team in the AFC, because the way the defenses line up, like, you've got a really solid defensive line that gives problems, but then you have the linebackers who sideline to sideline are fast and big, so it's not like there's mismatches for Travis Kelce as much as you see with other teams, and then the secondary's good. Like, they're not great, but they're good. They're very good.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I'm going to pick my Bucks, but I'm going to stay away from it for recommending anybody else probably do that. Make your own decisions there, people, because it is a game where I see primetime, and as a Bucks fan, I just think, oh, we're going to get embarrassed on national television, because that's literally all that's been happening for most of my lifetime. But I think the team is starting to finally click on a higher level, and that is what makes them dangerous. Because that's what you could write off at the beginning of the season. Wide receivers were on the same page as Tom. Now there's still some things, like you saw it on a couple of the deep balls. They're not breaking off their routes like Tom wants, but overall they're clicking at a high level. That'll do it for the games. I have one thing before we wrap this up, and it is a power ranking I saw right before we got on. Chris Sims is either one of the greatest trolls in the world or he's an idiot. I don't know, one of the two. I'm leaning towards troll. I'm going to read you off his midseason top 10 quarterbacks and see if something seems a tad bit off.
Okay.
Patrick Mahomes 1, Aaron Rodgers 2, Russell Wilson 3, Kyle Murray 4, Josh Allen 5, Deshaun Watson 6, Lamar Jackson 7, Justin Herbert 8, Joe Burrow 9, Ryan Tannehill 10.
I guess he's forgetting arguably the greatest player of all time.
That right off the bat was startling.
Who is playing like the best he's played in, I don't know, 5 years?
Yes. Like, don't get me wrong, all those are very good quarterbacks. But I'm sorry.
Did Chris, I don't know, you might know. Did Chris Sims have like an ugly breakup with Tampa or anything?
He did. Well, he burst his spleen.
Tom Brady, like, do I know? Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, he burst
Does
his
he
spleen.
dislike Tom Brady?
He does dislike Tom Brady. He left him off of his preseason or something. There was another list he put out, either preseason, I forget. I ripped him for something, either last year or this year, where he just completely left Tom Brady off the list. And it was like, what the fuck? But yeah, like, I'm sorry. Like, those are all great quarterbacks. Don't get me wrong. But there's just a glaring hole there of a guy who, like,
massive.
Pro Football Focus has him graded out as like the third best quarterback right now, and it's behind like Aaron Rodgers and Russell right now. And he's playing statistically one of his best seasons. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
He's top 5 this year.
Yes.
For sure.
And then Steelers fans have a gripe because of Big Ben. I don't have as big of a problem in that list,
I don't either.
but I'm sure you could make an argument if I really looked into it for somebody on that list getting bumped for him. But the Tom Brady thing was just like shocking to me.
Yeah. That's just comical. What a donkey.
I'm going with it had to be a troll job. Like, it just has to be.
It's just like him standing by his original stance, like Max Kellerman.
Oh,
like,
God,
stupid.
yeah. So dumb. All right, that'll wrap it up for us, unless you got anything else to wrap up the show. But
I just wanted to actually say, Aqib Talib, he did his first game this past year. He did his first color commentary game this past week for the football team game. Shockingly good.
I know you said that.
Good. I mean, yeah, I'm not surprised that he knows the game very well, but the way he's like able to articulate it and just kind of dumb it down for everyone was amazing. And I don't know. I just wanted to say he was awesome, and it shocked me because he's always kind of been known as a bit of a knucklehead. He was awesome.
Yes, he was, and I loved him. I got a Talib Bucks jersey in my closet that I've donned a couple times. One of my all-time favorite stories is him and his mother running out their house and shooting at a drive-away car that his girlfriend or his sister's boyfriend was driving away in, just standing in the middle of the street, letting off rounds.
Tell you what,
with his mother.
I don't think I'll ever do that with my mom.
It's one of the best stories. But yeah, you texted me that, and he does know the game, but it is, especially for his first game, because calling games is not an easy task.
No.
But it's something to keep on the radar. I've forgotten you had mentioned that. I will be looking out for that because I love to
just kind of think about it.
Yeah, store away and then not.
More. He was good. Yeah.
That's good to know. Hey, we always need more talent, especially in the NFL calling game, because like you saw it the first week, Kurt Herbstreit and that crew, the game day crew, when they did Monday Night Football and then they kicked it over to Brian
Yeah.
Greasy and Louis Riddick, it was
Yeah.
night and day difference.
Night and day. Really was.
But a little bit more, need a little bit more talent in the booth. I can't just have Romo and
Jim Nance.
Jim Nance. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that will wrap it up for us this week. And as always, peace.